Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into, well, one of the most bewildering sports stories unfolding right now. The dramatic, almost unbelievable fall of the Colorado Rockies.
It's really something.
Yeah, I mean, think back to 2007. They gave us Rocktober, right?
Yeah.
An unimaginable playoff run that saw them crowned National League champions. It really felt like anything was possible then. But fast forward to July 2025, and you see a team that is arguably the worst in all of North American professional sports.
It's stark. They're on pace to shatter records set over a century ago,
Yeah.
potentially outscored by more than 500 runs.
500 runs. It's just a shocking decline.
It truly is. And the question is, how does a team with, undeniable flashes of brilliance and a history of developing really talented players fall so spectacularly?
Right.
That's precisely our mission today. We're going to unpack the unique natural challenges they face, dig into the crucial decisions made, and maybe more importantly, the decisions not made by their front office, by ownership,
Yeah.
and explore what, if any, future holds for baseball in Denver.
And to guide us, we've pulled together some fascinating insights. We've got this deep YouTube analysis called How the Rockies Became the Worst Team in All Sports. Plus, recent reports from MLB trade rumors. Some really detailed fan surveys from Purple Row.
Oh, yeah. Purple Row's always got the pulse.
Exactly. And even a Sports Illustrated trade proposal that's got some people scratching their heads. So if you've ever wondered how an organization can just lose its way, or maybe how external factors, stuff beyond a team's direct control, can still shape its destiny, well, this deep dive is for you.
Definitely.
We're going to look at the data, the compelling stories, and the human elements behind this whole dramatic decline. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right. So to truly understand the Rockies' persistent struggle, we really have to start with the most fundamental, inescapable factor. Coors Field itself.
The ballpark.
Yeah. Sitting a mile high in Denver, 5,280 feet above sea level. This elevation, it just fundamentally alters the game of baseball in ways no other ballpark does.
Okay, so when we talk about less air density, what are the actual physics there? And how did that impact those, legendary Blake Street Bombers back in 95? Larry Walker, Andres Galarraga, Dante Bichette. I mean, they were absolutely clobbering balls.
Exactly. Less air density means less air resistance. So batted balls, they just carry further. Simple as that.
Okay.
You saw that with the Blake Street Bombers, who definitely took advantage. But here's the critical caveat. Visiting teams did too. Coors Field is over 4,000 feet higher than the next highest park. That means it's a power hitter's paradise for everyone, not just the home team.
Right. And then, the flip side, that thin, dry air is, well, a nightmare for pitchers. How exactly does it mess with their pitches?
It's particularly brutal for breaking pitches. A curveball, for instance, it loses anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of drop on average.
2 to 4 inches, wow.
Yeah, because there's simply less air for it to interact with, So this often leads to pitches just staying up in the zone. Exactly. Making them easier to hit hard. This environment has historically been just incredibly hostile to pitchers. It makes it a constant challenge to attract top-tier free agent arms.
Always fighting uphill on that front.
Always.
And that leads us to this Coors Field hangover theory. How does jumping between high and low elevation impact Rockies players, especially the hitters, when they go on the road?
Oh, it's a very real phenomenon. A lot of players struggle with it. Take former Rockies outfielder Charlie Blackmon, right? A legend in Denver.
Chuck Nasty.
Yeah. He had an outstanding .329 batting average at home over his 14-year, Hall of Fame type numbers.
Incredible.
But on the road, that dropped dramatically to a pedestrian .256.
Oof.
And his all-time road winning percentage, .385, also kind of suggests they've consistently been one of the worst road teams since they joined the league back in '93. That drastic home-road split, it really highlights the unique challenge this elevation presents.
So in essence, this is like a built-in original sin almost.
Yeah.
A persistent natural challenge, totally outside their control.
Pretty much.
It's not necessarily debilitating on its own, maybe, but it's a hurdle they always have to clear.
Precisely. It's just a constant environmental factor they have to contend with.
Okay, but despite that significant inherent challenge, the Rockies have had their moments. They've reached the playoffs 5 times, even if they've never won the NL West Division title.
Right.
And then, of course, there was that incredible Rocktober run in 2007.
That period was truly exceptional. September 16th, 2007, the team was just kind of middling, 76-72.
Yeah.
They then went on this just unimaginable 14-1 run to close out the regular season.
Unreal.
Which set up a thrilling one-game playoff with the San Diego Padres. It was a dramatic 13th inning win, sealed by that controversial Matt Holliday play at the plate. Did he touch it? Didn't.
Oh, I remember that slide. Still debated.
Still debated.
So their reward for sweeping the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, just making short work of the National League, was an 8-day layoff before the World Series.
Yeah, 8 days.
They were arguably the hottest team in baseball, maybe ever at that point, but that much time off,
Yeah.
it just seemed to cool them right off.
Totally. They ended up getting swept 4-0 by the Boston Red Sox and got outscored by, 19 runs in the process?
Yeah, a whopping 19 runs. It was brutal.
And since that 2007 World Series sweep, they've made 3 more playoff appearances, 2009, 2017, 2018.
Okay.
But what's striking is that they've won only 1 game in the NLDS since that 2007 World Series. Just 1.
Wow.
And it wasn't for a lack of top-tier talent either. They had Hall of Famer Todd Helton, they had Troy Tulowitzki, Carlos Gonzalez.
Tulo and Cargo, yeah. Great players.
Great players, yet sustained success just... it wasn't there.
Okay, so if the altitude was a built-in challenge, this next chapter is where it gets really interesting because what came next feels like entirely self-inflicted wounds. Starting with the whole Nolan Arenado saga.
Oh, boy.
Nolan was drafted in 2009, MLB debut in 2013. By 2015, he was already an all-star, Gold Glove winner, Silver Slugger.
Just dominant.
He led the NL in home runs 3 times, MLB in RBIs twice, and has 10 Gold Gloves. 10. He truly was the best player and, the Rockies' heart and soul.
Absolutely. And the crucial detail here is his 8-year, $260 million extension in 2019.
Okay.
The then general manager, Jeff Bridich, he insisted on inserting a no-trade clause and a player option after the 2021 season.
Wait, the GM insisted on it, not Arenado.
Right. Even though Arenado himself didn't prioritize it. And what's truly baffling, Bridich was, bizarrely honest about his own lack of foresight. He actually stated he thought it might be a good idea.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah.
That sounds completely counterintuitive for the team. From your perspective, what was the internal logic, however flawed, behind the GM insisting on those clauses?
It's hard to fathom, honestly. It really speaks to a front office that wanted to appear to spend money, appear to commit to a star.
Right, the optics.
Exactly. But they seemingly lacked the confidence or, frankly, the strategic foresight to actually build around him properly. Maybe they didn't want to fully commit the money long term, but felt pressured to make a splash. And the failure to make any meaningful roster moves around Arenado after that big signing led directly to his frustration. Nolan himself was quoted saying, "There's a lot of disrespect from people there that I don't want to be a part of."
Wow. That's damning.
It is.
And then the trade itself, just unbelievable. Not only did they trade Nolan Arenado to the St. Louis Cardinals, their rival, they included $50 million in cash to make the deal happen.
$50 million to get rid of a superstar.
What kind of return package did they even get for their franchise cornerstone?
Oh, the return package was infamously poor, often called one of the worst trades in recent memory.
Okay, lay it on us.
It included Mateo Gil, who's now playing in the Mexican League. Tony Losay later traded for cash, not playing affiliated ball. Jake Summers retired. Elahuris Montero, playing in Japan now, has a negative 1.7 WAR.
Oof. Negative WAR. That's bad.
That means he's actually cost his team runs compared to just an average replacement player. And Austin Gomber, who's been an adequate starter, but he's injured, it was, as one analyst bluntly put it, a shitty of a trade.
Just wow. And the aftermath of that disaster.
Well, Jeff Bridich stepped down just months after the trade, left the Rockies completely rudderless.
Yeah.
He was reportedly described by team employees as condescending and quick-tempered. It's just a prime example of an organization completely mismanaging its most valuable asset, losing its best player for almost nothing.
And incredibly, that wasn't the end of top talent just walking away for peanuts.
Nope. Trevor Story, their star shortstop, he was set to hit free agency in 2021. Team's going nowhere. 44-59 at the trade deadline?
Obvious trade candidate.
You'd think. But the Rockies failed to trade him. He walked in free agency, and all they got back was a compensatory pick. Minimal return for a player of his caliber.
And Story himself was pretty blunt about it.
Yeah, he openly expressed his frustration, saying, "I don't have really anything good to say about the situation and how it unfolded." Can you blame him?
Not at all. And then John Gray, their ace pitcher.
Same story, basically. Allowed to walk without even getting a qualifying offer extended.
Which means no compensatory pick at all for him.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just gone. It's truly baffling team management.
So, after letting all this top talent walk for little or nothing, what did the Rockies do next? They turned around and gave $182 million to Chris Bryant.
Right, the Bryant signing, his performance has been a stark contrast to that massive contract.
Understand.
In 2024, hit just .218 in 37 games. This year, 2025, 13 strikeouts in only 11 games. He's been largely injured, suffering from lumbar degenerative disc disease, which is a serious back condition.
Yeah, that sounds career-affecting.
Could be. And Bryant himself even admitted pretty candidly about signing with this floundering team. He said, "I guess I didn't do as much research into the prospects as I could."
Wow. Wow. So what does this all point to? All these questionable decisions, this mismanagement.
Yeah.
It seems to come back to one constant, right? The chief reason for this profound downfall.
Yeah, it leads pretty directly to ownership. Dick Monfort, the CEO since 2003.
One constant.
That's right. And Monfort's reign has really been characterized by a profound failure to modernize the organization. A shocking lack of strategic vision. Consider this.
Okay.
In 2020, right, 18 years after Moneyball came out and highlighted the importance of analytics.
At 2 years.
The Rockies had only one employee in their entire analytics department. One.
That's unbelievable in modern baseball.
It truly suggests they operate on a different, maybe lesser plane of existence than the other 29 teams in Major League Baseball.
And it's not just analytics.
Yeah.
There are these glaring examples of just operational cheapness, right?
Oh, yeah. That same season, 2020, they chose to have more than a half dozen front office employees pulling double duty as clubhouse attendants.
Doing what?
Shining shoes, doing laundry, even buying chewing tobacco for players, rather than paying furloughed part-time employees during the pandemic shutdown.
You're kidding. Front office staff doing laundry.
Not kidding. What does that kind of decision-making say about the organization's priorities, about its respect for its own people?
It really suggests a deep-seated contempt, maybe, for their own staff and, frankly, for their fans, too.
And this contempt seems to extend directly to the fan base itself. Monfort's dismissive responses to season ticket holders are legendary.
Infamous, maybe.
Infamous, yeah. In 2014, he told one, "By the way, you talk, maybe Denver doesn't deserve a franchise. Maybe time for it to find a new home."
He actually said that to a fan.
He did. Another time, responding to a fan survey, he said, "If product and experience are that bad, don't come." It's just an astonishing lack of accountability.
It's truly hard to believe a team owner would talk like that. And then there are his questionable personal investments outside the team.
Right. He reportedly spent $8 million on Macaroni Grill.
The restaurant chain.
Yeah, which later filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And analysts pointed out that was more money on Macaroni Grill than he did on his opening day start pitcher for the team that year.
Wow. That puts it in perspective.
And this brings us to a really crucial point about the financial incentive, or maybe lack thereof, at play here. The Monforts gained full control of the team for less than $100 million back in 2005.
Less than $100 million.
And the team is now valued at $1.48 billion. Billion. That's a massive 15x return on investment. So what this might reveal is how a lack of strategic vision, maybe coupled with a perceived disdain for the actual on-field product, can completely cripple an organization, even one with a valuable asset like an MLB team. It's almost a masterclass in how not to lead in a competitive industry.
Especially when the team being bad doesn't seem to significantly hurt their bottom line.
Exactly. Attendance has dipped, sure, from maybe 37,000 in 2018 down to under 25,000 this year.
That's a big drop.
It is, but they still draw more fans than 11 other MLB teams. So there's maybe less financial pressure to actually win games.
Which leads us to the present. A bleak present, to say the least. As of, mid-July 2025, the Rockies are a dismal 21-71.
Awful.
That puts them on a 37-win pace for the season. That's just 4 wins shy of the 2024 White Sox, who are widely considered the worst team in modern history.
They're challenging that title.
They really are. And as if to underline the frustration, one fan is even suing the team.
Suing them? For what?
Arguing that their lack of winning has led to fans paying less attention in the stands, which, the suit claims, increases the injury risk from foul balls.
Wow, that's creative. But it speaks volumes about the fan frustration.
It really does.
So given this dire situation, the obvious question is, what are the Rockies doing or planning to do to fix it? Let's turn our attention to the upcoming trade deadline.
Okay, what's the word?
While reports suggest the Rockies intend to be more willing to listen on veteran players than they have been in the past, which is, a stark contrast to previous years.
About time, maybe?
You could say that. This apparently includes guys like third baseman Ryan McMahon, reliever Jake Bird, and starter German Marquez.
Okay, so if they do actually decide to sell this time, who are the key veterans on the block, and what kind of value could they realistically bring back?
Well, Ryan McMahon, he's a plus defensive third baseman, got some power. Hitting .21, .310, .373 this season. The Yankees have reportedly shown some interest.
Okay, contract.
He's due $12 million this year, then $16 million annually through 2027. So some control there.
Right.
Then German Marquez. Impending free agent making $10 million. He had Tommy John surgery in 2023.
Which is serious. Big recovery time.
Very serious elbow procedure. Yeah, typically sidelines pitchers for over a year. His ERA is high this season, 5.84, but he did have a good June 2.97 ERA, and his fastball is still sitting around 95 mph, so maybe a contender takes a flyer.
Okay. And Jake Bird.
Bird's had a breakout year as a reliever. ERA is 3.70, striking out over 27% of hitters. Importantly, he's under club control for 3 more seasons after this one.
So his value is probably at its peak right now.
Exactly. Makes sense to move him if you're rebuilding.
However,
Yeah.
the team remains unlikely to trade young players whom they view as core pieces.
Right. That's the other side of it. This list includes promising guys like shortstop Ezequiel Tovar, center fielder Brenton Doyle, the rookie pitcher Chase Dollander, plus relievers Seth Halverson and Zach Agnos and starter Ryan Feltner. They want to keep that young core.
Understandable, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it leads to this debate among the fan base, right?
Sure. According to those recent fan surveys from Purple Row, most fans think the Rockies will trade maybe 2 players.
And the top candidates are?
Jake Bird and Ryan McMahon. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But then there's this discussion around other players, like catcher Hunter Goodman. He's actually performing like the team's best player right now, hitting .282, 16 homers, 50 RBIs.
Solid numbers. What's his WAR?
He's got a 1.8 FWAR. That's the Fangraphs version of wins above replacement.
Yeah.
It shows he's adding real significant value to the team.
Okay, so he's a bright spot.
Definitely. Which made that Sports Illustrated trade proposal really interesting.
Right. What was that again? Goodman to Tampa.
Yeah, suggested sending Goodman to the Tampa Bay Rays for pitcher Taj Bradley and a prospect named Theo Gillen. On paper, getting pitching and a prospect might sound appealing.
Yeah, especially for the Rockies.
But trading a homegrown star like Goodman, who's actually performing well now, in the middle of this historically awful season, what message does that send?
Yeah. It feels like it would be a major slap in the face to the fans.
Exactly. While the proposal suggested the Rockies might get the better end of that specific deal, there's just no guarantee Bradley becomes an ace or Gillen becomes a star.
Future uncertainty versus a known quantity.
Right. Retaining Goodman, who's proving his worth right now, seems pretty critical for team morale, for future building, rather than swapping him for maybe something down the road.
So, looking at the whole mess, the altitude, the past decisions, the current state,
Yeah.
what's the recommended path to improvement, according to analysts who study this kind of organizational failure?
Well, first, it seems like a radical shift in roster construction is needed. They need to build teams specifically around Coors Field. Athletic, rangy outfielders who can cover all that ground in that vast outfield. And pitchers with dominant four-seam fastballs and sliders, those seem to be the pitches least affected by the thin air.
Okay, tailor the personnel to the park. Makes sense.
Second, a genuine full rebuild. That means actually trading the expiring players at the deadline to get prospects back and, crucially, avoiding signing, washed-up vets like Chris Bryant to massive contracts they can't afford or don't need.
Learn from past mistakes, basically.
You'd hope so.
But there's this additional, almost cruel obstacle the team faces now, isn't there, with the draft?
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable. Despite potentially being the worst team in professional sports, maybe the worst baseball team of all time, MLB's anti-tanking rules actually prevent them from picking higher than 10th overall in the 2026 MLB draft.
Wait, why?
Because teams cannot receive top 6 draft picks 3 years in a row. They've picked high recently, so even if they finish with the worst record again, they get bumped down to 10th.
So they won't even get a top 10 pick, let alone number 1, to show for this historically awful season.
Nope. It's a rule meant to discourage tanking, but here it feels like it's punishing incompetence almost unfairly.
Wow, that's rough.
Ultimately, the shared sentiment among fans, analysts, pretty much everyone looking at this, it's stark.
Yeah.
The situation will likely not improve until Dick Monfort sells the team. He's proved himself arguably incompetent, and his public statements have at times felt malicious towards the very fan base he serves.
So wrapping this up, We've seen how the Rockies are this franchise battling, yes, unique environmental challenges with Coors Field, but maybe more significantly, years and years of questionable front office decisions and just a consistent lack of strategic investment from ownership. They are undeniably a national punchline right now.
It raises a really profound question, doesn't it? What does it say about a sports ownership group that operates in such a way? Knowing full well that the fans' enduring love for the game, for the ballpark experience itself, keeps the bottom line healthy even when the on-field product is historically awful.
Yeah, it's a tough question for those fans.
And for you, the learner, how does this cautionary tale of the Colorado Rockies maybe reshape your understanding of success and failure in complex organizations, whether that's in sports or business or anywhere else?
Right.
Consider how absolutely essential a clear vision, adaptability, and genuine investment really are, especially when you're already facing inherent obstacles like that mile-high air.